Now at 9, some Southwest Missouri residents raised concern about the use of certain fertilizers in their communities. Plus, how the Iola, Kansas School District is investing in extracurricular activities for students. And remodeling work begins at Missouri Southern Student Television Studio.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Thank you all for joining us tonight. I'm Jalen Banks. Residents in Newton County and McDonald counties are getting ready to talk to state representatives about an issue they face with a fertilizer. KOAM John Nahaldala met with residents to hear their concerns and has more.
About 10 miles and then it goes down to Elk River. About 3.
Residents in southwest Missouri say a natural fertilizer with a strong odor is overly applied on fields, which can cause issues to natural resources and later on to the residents when consuming meat or fish.
The chemicals that may possibly be in this product, we don't know. Some of them maybe are forever chemicals that in other areas, other parts of the country, farms have been condemned and food supply has been affected by these forever chemicals that are being applied.
The fertilizer is distributed to a couple of properties by Arkansas-based company Denali Water Solutions, who describes the fertilizer as food processing residuals. On top of over-applying, the residents are concerned about runoffs from the lagoons. One happened in March and Denali provided a statement about it. And part quote, Denali employees worked to clean up the runoff as soon as they became aware of the incident. Denali is working transparently with the Missouri Department of Natural Resources as it conducts an investigation. Resident Bradley Fields is concerned about several fertilizer-bringing trucks damaging roads. He is asking to regulate applying and add more testing.
Like a true test on the stuff they're actually spreading, like stop some of these trucks that are going out to fields to spread and pull samples directly out of those and see what's in them.
Brian Hall says he's had open communication with some lagoon owners who look at it as a low-cost fertilizer.
Our main objective right now is to get the word out to all of the landowners that they might be getting a lot more for free and no nitrogen or no fertilizer, but lots of other components.
In southwest Missouri, Janna Hautala, KOAM News.
Some community members plan to meet with lawmakers in Jefferson City at the end of this month and also have more town hall meetings on the way. A Parsons, Kansas business is being recognized by the EPA for its water conservation practices. The agency gave out a pollution prevention award to Grandview Cabinetry. The manufacturer implemented a system that repurposes the solvent used while finishing cabinets to clean factory equipment. Officials say every year it saves 1,000 gallons of solvent, 1,400 gallons of water, 3.3 tons of organic compounds, and more than $15,000. Authorities say an NEO student from Southeast Kansas died today, 3 days after a truck pedestrian crash. The crash happened Monday night on the 900 block of B Street Northeast in Miami. Authorities say the truck drove south with 19-year-old Chase Langston of rural Parsons, Kansas, on the hood of the truck. They say the driver then accelerated and slammed on his brakes, throwing Langston from the hood. Investigators later arrested the suspected driver for DUI. Langston was taken to a Joplin hospital in critical condition and died from his injuries today. Authorities say the driver of the truck, Clay McCormick, left the scene. Authorities found the truck about a half a block north of the accident, parked at the truck owner's home. McCormick was arrested for a DWI. More charges in the case are pending. An early morning fire today burned at an upstairs apartment in Joplin's Murfreesburg neighborhood. The fire was at 114 South Pearl. Authorities say the resident of the apartment was transported to a hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. There's no word yet on the cause of the fire. And now Chief Meteorologist Doug Katie joins us with the first look at the weather.
Well, it definitely turned out to be a nice Thursday for us today, but a chilly one. Look at this. Only 57 for a high. Started at 36 during the morning hours. Average high 67. We're going to get back into the 60s as we go through the next couple days, which is good. Still a cold night. We got frost advisories. We still got a little bit of a freeze warning out across northeastern parts of Oklahoma. But besides that, we're pretty calm. We just have some mid and upper level clouds that have been streaming through with a storm system off to our south down through Texas, Louisiana. So as we go through the rest of the night, we do slide back into the 30s again, 35 for an overnight low. We rebound to 50 by 10 a.m. So again, frost and freeze advisories tonight. Friday looks pretty good, warming up for the weekend. We're going to look at your Easter forecast as well. All coming up here in just a little bit.
All right, see you then. The Iola School District has made a significant investment in the future of its students by purchasing a property near its elementary school. The newly acquired property includes a building that will be used for extracurricular activities for its students. This decision was made with the intention of providing more opportunities for students to engage in extracurricular activities. It includes after-school clubs, sports teams, and other activities that can contribute to their overall academic and personal development. KOAM Shagun Bomdali has more.
Iola School District leaders saw the need for an indoor space for extracurricular activities. After considering several options, they decided to purchase the property near the elementary school.
One thing that's surfaced is the need for an activity center for not only athletic opportunities but also activities and school use.
Although the building is purchased, the district has not decided when construction will start.
The district has asked our maintenance director to seek more bids from vendors on what the actual costs might be, and then come back in our second meeting in April where we'll have a discussion to see if the district moves forward.
Jason Bates coaches wrestling at Iola schools. He says limited space has cost the team.
We lose a lot of wrestlers during the summer because we have nowhere to wrestle and have open gym. And so wrestling, it would benefit greatly from this activity center.
In addition to space for wrestling practice, it will have a turf that feels like grass.
That hard surface, we plan on turfing it again, so that would be a lot better for them because a lot of baseball fields now are a lot of high schools are going to that turf, and so that would give them more of a game-like situation in practice.
The purchase of the building was funded by district funds controlled by the board. Green can be a color for happiness, money, and special effects. KGCS TV at Missouri Southern has begun remodeling their TV studio today. The green screen will be in Studio B and will be used in productions for the university's Newsmaker show, along with student-created productions. Studio A will become a home to a brand new LED production wall. The new features come after Missouri Southern received a $1.5 million MoExcels grant. Master instructor Brian Marin says the green screen will be very versatile.
And so the backgrounds allow these students, and the virtual backgrounds allow these students to create unseen sets before, and so it allows them a lot more creativity. In the past, you're kind of stuck with what physical objects can you build a set out of. Now it opens them up to anything that they can imagine.
KGCS TV is a nonprofit TV station and broadcasts through the Joplin region on Channel 21. Kelly Davis teaches third grade at McKinley Elementary. Her school held a surprise announcement this morning. She's been teaching for 19 years now. Davis has wanted to be a teacher since she was very young and says she loves kids. She says her key to success, amazing students and co-workers. A separate announcement will be made later for the support staff of the year. Coming up, health experts are raising alarms over the dangers of some additives in our food. If you go ahead and take a quick look inside your fridge or pantry, you'll most likely find a variety of processed foods you and your family love to eat. But there's growing concern about the safety of some of the foods and additives that are in some of the processed foods. Fox News' Ted Linder takes a closer look.
Some processed foods are coming under fire over potential health concerns from the additives used to alter their taste, color, shelf life, and more. But to understand the current debate, we need to take a trip back to 1958 when the Food and Drug Administration created the GRAS list, which stands for Generally Recognized as Safe. On it are hundreds of additives that the FDA allows in food products.
The GRAS list is saying, hey, we have used these additives for years. There's no problem. They're generally recognized as safe. You don't have to do any testing.
Lawmakers in California, though, recently proposed legislation that would ban 5 additives on the list.
2 of them are dyes. One is an oxidizing agent, one is an emulsifier, and one is a preservative.
The reason?
There are studies that show that some of these ingredients, even GRAS list ones, can cause harm, such as causing cancer.
And some dietitians say the problem is worsening.
The problem comes down to amount. Back in the 50s when the GRAS list first came out, most Americans in general made most of their own food. They weren't eating that much processed foods.
So what can be done to keep people safe? Besides possible government restrictions, health experts say it comes down to people revamping their diets.
Substituting 10% of foods, processed foods, with minimally processed foods decreased the risk of quite a number of cancers. If you eat a variety of foods, then you're not getting too much of one thing that might in fact be harmful.
Ted Lindner, Fox News.
A group of international researchers have shown for the first time that in middle-aged men, sleep apnea can cause early cognitive decline. The cognitive deficits were seen even if patients were otherwise healthy and not obese. It's believed that a majority of people with no sleep apnea do not know they have it. Exposure to air pollution may increase a person's risk of developing dementia. That's according to a new analysis of dozens of studies from Harvard's T.H. Chan School of Public Health. Researchers say these results can be used by organizations like the EPA, which is currently considering stronger limits on exposure to fine particulate air pollutants. Doug is back with a complete look at the forecast and later. It's the opening day of the Adam LaRock baseball tournament in Fort Scott. We'll have the highlights.
Well, it definitely turned out to be a pretty nice Thursday for us today. Temperatures not too bad, mainly into the upper 50s, but the allergies are high. Look at this, on a scale of 1 to 12, we're at 10.1 today, which is high, and then tomorrow is going to be a 10.4. So if you are an allergy sufferer, you're going to be suffering as we go through the next couple days. Look at our temps over the past 36 hours. We were in the mid-50s yesterday, cold start, and then right back up into the mid-50s. For highs for us today, but we are going to start to warm things back up in just a little bit as we go through the next couple days. Most of us are hanging out near 50 degrees. In fact, also our drought tracker came out, and after we got the rain just yesterday morning, Missouri, Arkansas are doing pretty good, even northeastern Oklahoma, but still, once you get in southeastern Kansas, we have pretty bad drought conditions, and we want to see this improve, especially before we get into the summer months. For us tonight, sliding back through the 40s, mid-30s, 4 overnight lows, so a cold night. We rebound right back to 50 by 10 a.m. We have been watching a few clouds kind of skirting through, mainly in our southeastern counties. Besides that, we look pretty good. That's due to a storm system down through Texas and Louisiana. The rain's going to stay to our south, but we are going to get some at least call it partly cloudy skies for us tonight and then again tomorrow. But here's our next storm system. This system will start to affect us by the second half of the weekend and then heading into early next week. All right, let's step through the next 48 hours. Chilly start, 36 in Stockton, 39 at Grand Lake, Chinook down to about 35. We have an easterly wind tomorrow. We rebound upper 50s by noon, and I think most of us will go into lower 60s for highs, so a pretty good Friday for us. Tomorrow night, still chilly. We drop back down into 30s once again. Not quite as cold, 35, 36 degrees by the time we start the day on Saturday. And then Saturday afternoon looks fantastic. 66 in Carthage, Miami up to 68, 66 in Pittsburgh, Independence, much of the same mid to upper 60s. So we're heading into the weekend, we look fantastic. Saturday night, we start to get a southerly wind. We start to get some clouds in here ahead of that next storm system, which will start to affect us on Easter Sunday. Here's your day planner tomorrow, 9 a.m. 45, 1 p.m. up to 60, 63 by 5 p.m. So Friday is going to be a fantastic day to get outside. All right, let's look at Easter. So we're going to go into Sunday morning. If you have heading to church or church service, Easter morning service, temperatures into the mid-40s. So chilly, but not too bad. A lot of clouds throughout the day. By noon, we're into the upper 50s. And once we get into the afternoon, I think most of us right around 70. You can start to see a few showers sneaking in as we get into Sunday evening, but I think our better chances for rain is going to hold off until Monday. 63 tomorrow, 66 Saturday, 70 for Easter Sunday. Those showers Sunday and Monday. 72 Tuesday, warming through the 70s. Next week, next chance for thunderstorms, which could be strong to severe late next week into next weekend.
All right, sounds good. Coming up, trying to fix economic issues.
Before the Federal Reserve votes on another interest rate hike, new economic data could help with the final decision. I'm Mike Emanuel in Washington. I'll have details next.
A much-anticipated March jobs report is due Friday. Economists and investors are reflecting on where the economy stands amid a lot of uncertainty with banks and jobless claims. Fox News Chief Washington correspondent Mike Emanuel has a closer look.
One of the country's biggest warehouse retailers is feeling the impact of inflation. Customers at Costco are making smaller purchases. The company reported its monthly same-store sales dropped for the first time in almost 3 years.
Everything I'm seeing right now pretty much is a declaration to me that economic trouble is heading.
Another troubling sign that's weighing on the economy, initial jobless claims in March came in higher than expected. The Labor Department found 228,000 Americans filed for unemployment benefits. Economists and investors are now looking toward Friday's jobs report to see whether it will prompt the Federal Reserve to keep hiking interest rates.
I think the number one thing that the Fed should be looking at is inflation. That's the one that they have any control over. They don't have control over the labor market or anything else. They've really got to focus on inflation, and inflation's still running pretty hot.
Meanwhile, a top Fed official says further rate hikes are still on the table if the labor market remains strong.
I think inflation is going to be sticky going forward, and it's going to be hard to get inflation back down to the 2% target. We're going to have to stay at it in order to apply pressure to make sure inflation gets back to 2%.
The Federal Reserve could vote on another rate hike when it meets next month. In Washington, Mike Emanuel, Fox News.
An update on the housing market. The average long-term U.S. mortgage rate dipped for the 4th straight week. Mortgage buyer Freddie Mac reported today that the average on the benchmark for a 30-year rate dipped 6.28% from 6.32% in the previous week. It's a good sign for potential home buyers in a real estate market that's been mostly cold since the Federal Reserve began raising interest rates more than a year ago. FedEx says it's consolidating its separate delivery companies, including FedEx Express and FedEx Ground, into one organization. The move is part of a company-wide effort to cut costs and better compete with UPS and Amazon. The new structure is expected to be fully implemented by next year, with a long-term goal to permanently save $4 billion by fiscal year 2025. Up next, we'll learn why this portrait of famous Spanish painter Pablo Picasso was carved into a field in Italy. A tribute to one of, if not the most famous artists in the world. Italian land artist Dario Gambarin paid tribute to Pablo Picasso by carving out a giant portrait to mark the 50th anniversary of the death of the Spanish painter. Gambarin created the portrait on a 25,000 square meter wasteland in Italy with a tractor. The artist said he was inspired by the self-portrait of Picasso made in 1907. 30 more minutes of news, weather, and sports coming your way. Downstream Casino Resort hosts an event to raise money for the Lafayette House to benefit families in need. Plus, some students in Southeast Kansas let sparks fly in a competition. The community of Joplin gathered at Downstream Casino to support a local treatment center. KOAM's Amber Jenkins has details.
The Ooh La Lafayette event has been a community staple for 14 years. From silent auctions to virtual golf, the community shows up in out for the Lafayette House.
We have the used bags, we have new bags, and it's just fantastic the way the community comes together and donates.
All proceeds and donations from the gala support the Lafayette House, making sure to keep a safe sanctuary for those in need.
For 14 years, we've been impacting what we're able to do because of Ooh La Lafayette.
The Lafayette Gala is more than just a girls' party. This year, they're introducing the alcove, which has more masculine interests because they want to emphasize that they help everyone in the community.
We don't only serve women, we serve men too, and so let's have two separate events, one with a more masculine feel and one with a more feminine.
500 people are expected to attend Ooh La Lafayette. Committee members are proud to watch the attendance increase over the years.
We outgrew the Ramsey building the first couple of years that we had it. We sell out every year. It's something that people look forward to.
Reporting at Downstream Casino, Amber Jenkins, KOAM News.
The event also serves as a chance to recognize April as Sexual Assault Awareness Month. Some Webb City High School students partnered with Joplin Community Regional Foundation Philanthropic Society to present a grant. The more than $6,700 grant went towards the Children's Haven of Southwest Missouri. The high school's launch is a grassroots effort started by the JRCF Philanthropic Society. Its mission is to launch students into a lifetime of philanthropy.
We are in the Philanthropic Society that was started at Webb City High School last year. Basically, the goal of it is to just be able to provide, we called it a grant, to be able to provide a grant.
Students who participated turned in 149 volunteer hours to earn more than $2,200. The funds were matched 2-to-1 for more than $4,400, reaching the total of more than $6,700. The grant money hopes to move the needle for children and families in crisis situations. Some area students slipped on some gloves and got to work today. Neosho County Community College hosted their 13th annual SMAW Invitational Welding Competition. The focus of the competition was the stick welding process. An official says the competition serves to motivate and prepare their students to join the workforce. Some students have been doing this from a young age.
My dad, he's always been with me for it and helped me weld, and just the interest has always been there, and I've always wanted to weld, so been welding since pretty young.
The competition was for high school and college students. Another setback for former President Donald Trump's legal team. This time in the special counsel's probe investigating events leading up to January 6th. It comes in the wake of Mr. Trump appearing in court to respond to criminal charges in a separate case. Fox's Griff Jenkins has the latest on why we could soon see the vice president testify and what could tee up a historic moment in the Justice Department's probe.
Former Vice President Mike Pence says he will not appeal a judge's order compelling him to testify in the Justice Department's January 6th probe, despite his legal team challenging the subpoena. A spokesman for the former VP said in a statement, quote, Vice President Mike Pence swore an oath to support and defend the Constitution, and his claim that the Biden special counsel's unprecedented subpoena was unconstitutional under the speech or debate clause was an important one made to preserve the separation of powers outlined by our founders.
There's nothing illegal about a client and a former president talking with lawyers and then exploring ideas. That's not illegal. What's illegal is if they do something, with the intention to violate the law.
The announcement comes after a federal judge last week rejected executive privilege claims, ruling the former vice president is required to appear before a grand jury, a decision largely seen as another setback for former President Trump's legal team working to limit testimony to grand juries investigating him. This week, the former commander-in-chief pleaded not guilty to 34 counts during his arraignment in Lower Manhattan.
In general, I think Republicans have to play harder, and they've got to be as intense as the Democrats are, because this has just got to come to an end and the truth has to be revealed.
Next week, we could see a run-in between Mr. Trump and Mr. Pence. Both are headed to Indianapolis to headline the National Rifle Association's annual meeting. In Washington, Griff Jenkins, Fox News.
A bit later, how to make tax collection easier.
The IRS is about to get a high-tech update thanks to Congress, but what exactly should the money be used for? I'm Christina Coleman in Los Angeles. I've got the details coming up.
Well, it definitely turned out to be a pretty nice Thursday for us today. Temperatures not too bad, mainly into the upper 50s, but the allergies are high. Look at this, on a scale of 1 to 12, we're at 10.1 today, which is high. And then tomorrow is going to be a 10.4. So if you are an allergy sufferer, you're going to be suffering as we go through the next couple days. Look at our temps over the past 36 hours. We were in the mid-50s yesterday, cold start, and then right back up into the mid-50s for highs for us today. But we are going to start to warm things back up in just a little bit as we go through the next couple days. Most of us are hanging out near 50 degrees. In fact, also our drought tracker came out. And after we got the rain just yesterday morning, Missouri, Arkansas are doing pretty good, even northeastern Oklahoma. But still, once you get in southeastern Kansas, we have pretty bad drought conditions, and we want to see this improve, especially before we get into the summer months. For us tonight, sliding back through the 40s, mid 30s, 4 overnight lows, so a cold night. We rebound right back to 50 by 10 a.m. We have been watching a few clouds kind of skirting through, mainly in our southeastern counties. Besides that, we look pretty good. That's due to a storm system down through Texas and Louisiana. The rain's going to stay to our south, but we are going to get some, at least call it partly cloudy skies for us tonight and then again tomorrow. But here's our next storm system. This system will start to affect us by the second half of the weekend and then heading into early next week. All right, let's step through the next 48 hours. Chilly start, 36 in Stockton, 39 at Grand Lake, Chinook down to about 35. We have an easterly wind tomorrow. We rebound upper 50s by noon, and I think most of us will go into lower 60s for highs, so a pretty good Friday for us. Tomorrow night, still chilly. We drop back down into 30s once again, not quite as cold, 35, 36 degrees by the time we start the day on Saturday, and then Saturday afternoon looks fantastic. 66 in Carthage, Miami up to 68, 66 in Pittsburgh, Independence, much of the same mid to upper 60s. So we're heading into the weekend, we look fantastic. Saturday night, we start to get a southerly wind, we start to get some clouds in here ahead of that next storm system, which will start to affect us on Easter Sunday. Here's your day planner tomorrow, 9 a.m. 45, 1 p.m. up to 60, 63 by 5 p.m. So Friday is going to be a fantastic day to get outside. All right, let's look at Easter. So we're going to go into Sunday morning. If you have heading to church or church service, Easter morning service, temperatures into the mid-40s. So chilly, but not too bad. A lot of clouds throughout the day. By noon, we're into the upper 50s. And once we get into the afternoon, I think most of us right around 70. You can start to see a few showers sneaking in as we get into Sunday evening, but I think our better chances for rain is going to hold off until Monday. 63 tomorrow, 66 Saturday, 70 for Easter Sunday. Those showers Sunday and Monday. 72 Tuesday, warming through the 70s. Next week, next chance for thunderstorms, which could be strong to severe late next week into next weekend.
All right, thank you, Doug. Planet warming gases continue to rise in the atmosphere in 2022. The National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration reports methane saw its fourth largest annual increase since the NOAA systematic measurement started in 1983. It also says methane was about 2.5 times the pre-industrial levels of the late 1800s. Methane comes from landfills and agricultural practices and is the main component of natural gas used to heat homes and cook. Coming up in sports, Missouri Southern Baseball opens their biggest series of the season, hosting Central Missouri. Plus, the Fort Scott Tigers hit the field on the opening day of the Adam LaRoque tournament. Jacob Leonard has those highlights and more after the break.
The Missouri Southern Lions have their biggest series of the season this week. The Lions open a 3-game set against the Central Missouri Mules tonight in a battle of two of the best teams in the nation. And these two teams are both ranked in the top 20 in the country, and they enter tonight tied for first place in the MIAA. Southern is ranked 4th in the country. Central Missouri is number 18. The Mules get off to a fast start tonight. Chase Heath drives one here to left center. Runner scores. RBI double for Heath. Central Missouri goes up 7-0. But Missouri Southern not out of it. Bottom of the third, Ethan Clark pulls one through the left side. That scores Nate Miskowski. Lions get a pair in the inning to make it 7-2. Then in the fifth, 2 on for Will Doherty. Yanks this one to left, and he really hammered it. Well over the wall for the 3-run homer. His 5th of the season gets Southern within 2. The Lions not able to complete the comeback tonight. Central Missouri takes game 1, 8-5. The Pittsburgh State Gorillas also in action tonight. Pitt State kicks off a 3-game road series against Rogers State. The Gorillas fall in a heartbreaker 10-9 in extra innings. Carson Coffey, nice night for PSU, goes 3 for 5 with a homer and 3 RBIs. The game 2 of the series will be tomorrow afternoon at 2. The Neosho Wildcats are on a roll early in the season. Through 9 games, Neosho is 8-1 overall, and they've won 7 games in a row. And tonight, the Wildcats play at home, hosting the Webb City Cardinals in their COC League opener. Webb City enters this game at 6-5 overall. This one was a pitcher's duel this afternoon, top of the fourth. Tied game 1-1. River Brill, sweet play with the glove there, gets the out at first. On bottom of the fifth now, same score with the runner on. Webb City gets the double play. That gets him out of the inning. So now we move to the top of the sixth inning. Things get interesting. Drew Vonderhaar gets it just over the glove of the second baseman. Kaylor Darnell comes in to score. Webb City takes the lead. It's 2-1 Cards. And to the top of the seventh, still 2-1 Webb City. Sean Hunt hits a line shot into left field for the RBI single. Big insurance run there makes it 3-1 Cardinals, but the big story of the game for Webb City, Landon Fletcher swing and a miss in the first, and another whiff in the third. He would also end the game on a strikeout. Fletcher, complete game, strikes out 9 batters, only gives up 1 run. That performance was good enough to give Webb City their first conference win of the season. Cards beat the Wildcats 4-1 in the O-Show.
I knew that my last game wasn't my best, and then I had to kind of figure it out and got to win the first conference game, so got that done.
He's a sophomore. This is his first start in a COC game. I mean, you can't ask for much more. He had 8+ strikeouts. I think he only had 2 walks. He had a few hits, but I mean, that's just who he is. He's in the zone all the time. He spins his breaking ball about any count. I mean, that's just kind of what he does. I mean, that's just what we asked him to do.
Today's the opening day of the Adam LaRoche baseball tournament in Fort Scott. There are 3 games on the schedule today, with the tournament host Tigers hitting the field first against Tonganoxie. Fort Scott enters the day on a 3-game winning streak after beating Pittsburgh on Tuesday. The Tigers down 2 in the first, but Rocco Lafredo with 2 on, perfectly placed ball here into shallow right. Cody Wilson comes in to score. Fort Scott gets one of those runs back. The second inning, still down 1. Spencer Goldston goes opposite field for the base hit. Cal Cousins scores on that, and we got a game. It's tied at 2. Moments later, Lennox Van with 2 on. Slices this one into left. Gets down and gets by the left fielder. That's Goldston rounding third. Scoring for the Tigers right behind him is Cody Wilson. Van in there to second. Fort Scott goes up 4-2 after 2 innings. Spencer Goldston on in relief for Fort Scott in the final few innings. Gets the strikeout on the check swing in the 7th. Tigers hold on to win a good one today, beating Tonganoxie 6-4. That first inning really, I think Central had against Missouri Southern had 4 runs in the first inning, kind of a sloppy inning for Missouri Southern. That was what undid the game tonight. They came back and made it a game, but that first inning killed Southern this evening.
Well, good thing they've got 2 more games tomorrow and Saturday.
They can make it all up.
I'm sure that we'll be there to cover it.
Yep.
All right. Thank you, Leonard. We're back with more after this. The tax filing deadline is coming up, but the question remains, can we trust the tech tools the IRS will use to process all of those returns? Fox News correspondent Christina Coleman has more.
It's tax season, and that means an annual ritual most of us don't look forward to. But when most Americans are done going through all that paperwork and crunching the numbers, we're increasingly turning to technology to file those taxes. E-filing, which was first introduced more than 40 years ago, has now become almost universal.
Over 95% of individual tax returns are now e-filed with the IRS. So it's been a big success. They've been at it since the 1980s, if you can believe it.
But that doesn't mean there isn't more work to do. The Government Accountability Office found about 33% of IRS applications, 23% of software, and 8% of hardware are, quote, outdated, but still critical to day-to-day operations. And on the reporting side, most registered IRS agents say the final frontier will be digitizing the W-2s and 1099s needed for contract employees.
So somebody's in your home doing work for you, or someone provides a service, or someone's an employee of yours. There ought to be a much, much easier way for you to file that return with the IRS.
Last year, lawmakers increased IRS funding by some $87 billion. About half of that money will go toward technology modernization. But some critics say that's not enough.
They put about half or more of that $87 billion they appropriated in form of new audits and new compliance. That's unfortunate, because that means that small business owners are going to get targeted.
Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen says in the coming days she'll give more details on how the IRS plans to spend the money. In Los Angeles, Christina Coleman, Fox News.
Microsoft and multiple hospital groups are now using a federal court order to help cut off cyber criminals' access to a hacking tool around the world. This is one of the biggest moves yet by tech firms and hospitals to combat ransomware attacks that have crippled U.S. healthcare providers for years. The federal court order allows Microsoft to cut off the communication between mainly Russian-speaking hackers in the bootleg version of the software used to get into victims' network. Coming up, how a Texas community came together to help an injured puppy get a new leash on life. A 3-month-old puppy is on the path to recovery. Dozer arrived to a Texas animal shelter unable to walk due to an unknown condition. But thanks to community donations, Dozer was fitted with a custom-built wheelchair to help him move around.
There was a lady who came in and said that she had a dog that she needed to surrender.
I'll get ahead of you. Here.
We went out to the car and she had brought him out, and when she put him to the ground, we immediately noticed that he could not walk or stand at all on his own.
Dozer came to us. He is about a 3-month-old puppy.
He couldn't even keep his head up off the ground. When he would try to pick his head up, it would just flop straight back to the ground, and it was hitting pretty hard. He could not control his body movements at all.
He is able to place his feet in the right places, but he's not able to support his weight yet.
So we actually kind of just carried him throughout the shelter.
We haven't been able to determine a cause for what's happening with him.
You ready for him?
Yeah, I'm ready for him. Okay, so head goes this way. Yep. And we got to get 2 back legs through there and 2 front legs through here. So. I know, buddy. Hold on. I know. Hi, buddy. So 1. The support that we got from the community and our nonprofit board that fundraises for us, Bayou Friends Forever, we were able to purchase this little guy his wheelchair. His initial reaction was something was getting him. He was trying to get away from it. He tried to take off running a couple of times, and then he kind of started slowing down a little bit and figuring out that it wasn't hurting. Come here, buddy. I think hopefully that he understands that it's trying to help him. He's learning, and he is definitely getting better with that. Oh, he'll be probably running all over the place, tearing things up pretty soon. The harness is definitely going to be the difference. All right, bud.
Oh man, the things we can do when we come together. And that's our time for tonight, and thank you all so much for joining us. But before you go, we'll leave you with the video of otters at an Australian zoo enjoying some Easter treats. Be safe, and we'll do this all again tomorrow. See you then.